All right, so continuing our conversation about what are typical support items that we might see, especially when a registration cycle opens up. So we've already talked about when a student says, I cannot get into my account. The next one is when a student reports that they can't see any courses or that they don't see the right courses. And again, anybody can report this. The high school can report it on behalf of the student, a parent can report it, the student itself, etc. But the gist of it is the student says, I don't see any courses, or the student says, I don't see the right ones. I'm supposed to have a speech class and the speech class is not listed, right? So again, there's like 3 or 4 things that I systematically go through so I can try to figure out what the problem is. The first problem is, are they on the correct URL, the correct web address? So as I mentioned before, every single college that we work with has their own unique URL. So we were just talking about student Jeff Bridges. He is a Jamestown college, Jamestown Community College, and so I'm on the Jamestown, it's sunyjcc.dev.dualenroll.com. I'm on their website, right? But if Jeff tried to log in on a different website, he's not going to see anything because he's not on a website that is linked to his high school. SUNY JCC is the college that is linked to his high school. So let me just show you. Let me see
another
Yavapai.
How would he have the address for another website?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens all the time. They Google dualenroll.com and they just go to our general website, www.dualenroll.com, request a demo. Like that's where they go. And I'm like, no. There is a there is a unique URL for you. Like all they remember is that they have to go to dualenroll.com, and I'll show it to you. We don't have a dev site for our general website, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go to a different dev site just to show you what would happen if he tries to log in on a different URL. What often happens is they Google us and they just go to our general website. So this is Yavapai College, which is a college in Arizona. Jamestown is in New York. Jeff Bridges is a New York kid. He logs into Yavapai and he has no classes, right? So that is my first question is, Jeff, what website are you using? And I will write the website. You have to use the unique website for your college, the college that is partnering with your high school, which is SUNY JCC. Where they really go is this one. Like I said, they'll Google us, and it's just www.dualenroll.com. I just don't have a dev site, so I don't want to screw around on here because Janet uses this for demos.
So why would this say you're an invalid user? I mean, why would it even let him log in if he's not associated with that college?
We don't have restrictions that way because it is possible that a student changes schools and works with a new college. For instance, we have College of Western Idaho and Boise State. So those are both in Idaho, and they are both close to each other. And there are some high schools that work with both CWI and Boise. So you can't do that, especially if you get a statewide system, right? So there are a couple of schools in Idaho where all of their English classes are done through CWI, but all of their business classes are done through Boise. So no, that student's account has to work on both of those URLs. It's just if he uses a URL that is not linked to their high school, like if he's in Idaho and he uses one for New York, that's when he's going to get a, you don't see anything because there's nothing linked to your school.
Okay.
So this is the general website, the demo website that Janet uses, and it says demos and contact us and frequently asked questions, who our clients are. This is where kids wind up when they just Google us and they click on this login button and then they will see no features. Now we do have a little message up here that says, please contact your school for the correct URL, but 9 times out of 10 they don't actually read that. They just start logging in. So that's my first question. If a student ever comes, or if I get a request that says student can't see any courses, I first verify that they're using the correct URL, that they have to use the URL that's linked to their college. The next thing that I want to verify is that looks good. If they're using the correct URL and they're still saying I can't see anything, then I want to make sure that their high school is linked to that URL, right? So when we set up a college, so I'm going to go to, wait, no, not that one. When we set up a college, we ask them what high schools they work with, and you have to link up their high school. So I'm going to log into the big admin screen. This is what I would do if a person couldn't see. Why is that there? Okay. if a person can see courses and I check the URL, my next step is to make sure that the high school that they are from is linked, right? So if you go to this, I'm on the admin screen. So far, we've looked at students, we've looked at high schools, we've looked at colleges, the users. The only other place that you might wind up going is this more field. And underneath more is college, high school linkages. This shows you which college we have linked to which high school in the system. So if I click on this and a student is saying, I can't see any courses, I want to make sure that their high school is actually linked to that college. So again, just like with the students and the high school accounts, it lists the ones that were most recently created up front. So you can search, they're not like in alphabetical order, it's whatever was created most recently. So if this student says, I live in Boise and I am trying to take a class through CWI and I just can't see this class, I want to know what their high school is. Let's pretend their high school is West Ottawa, and I want to make sure that their high school is linked to CWI. So I'm going to search for College of Western Idaho. I can either search by college or by high school. Let's go with CWI. And the system shows me all of the high schools that are linked to CWI. So CWI is linked to Skyview. CWI is linked to Centennial. This kid is talking about West Ottawa. These are not in alphabetical order, which is not helpful. It's in the order that they were created. But if you click on high school, it will resort them. It sorts them Z to A and then A to Z. I don't know why it says Z to A first. It's annoying. But he's West Ottawa. He's a W. So that actually worked to my benefit. There is no West Ottawa. So that's my first clue is, well, you know, you are trying to take a class through CWI when your high school does not partner with CWI. So yeah, I'll let you make an account. Like there's nothing stopping you from going to our website and, you know, typing in and making an account, but there are no courses because West Ottawa doesn't work with CWI. Usually when that happens, I will also send an email to CWI, to our contact over there, and say, hey, FYI, I was contacted by a kid from West Ottawa who is certain that he should be registering for classes, but West Ottawa is not linked to you guys. Did you guys bring on a new school? Because, you know, their programs get bigger and bigger. Maybe one year they were only working with 20 schools and the next year they're working with 22. Usually they contact us so that we can make user accounts for the high school, we can train the high school, we can give them little handouts to give to the kids. So it's strange that like one would get by us, but you know, everybody's busy. Sometimes it slips their mind of like, oh crap, you're right, I was supposed to set up West Ottawa and I didn't. And then we can kind of backtrack and tell the student, unfortunately, the class, you know, it's not set up yet. We're working with CWI to set up your high school. You know, please check back next week, you know, kind of a thing. So you can also check, instead of checking by the college, you can check by high school. So I can type in West Ottawa, and it'll say, no, that guy's not linked to anybody. I can also,
to verify?
I'm sorry?
You ever contact the counselor to verify?
I don't usually, because sometimes the counselors think that they have a partnership with a college and they don't. I always go to a college because the college is our client, right? They are the ones who have the contract with us. And so we oftentimes go through the college to make sure that we have that verify information.
Okay.
So I searched by Centennial High School. You'll see that it looks like this high school is linked to a couple of different places. First of all, Centennial Baptist is different than Centennial. And Centennial High School is linked to West CWI and Boise. So here's an example. And then I know that Parkland is in Illinois, so I bet you that this Centennial is different than this one. I mean, Centennial is kind of a very generic name. So there are a bunch of Centennials in the United States, you know, if you know what I mean. To verify that these are two different schools, you can click on them. It'll link you to the high school tab. So if I click on this first one that's linked to Parkland, this shows me that it's Centennial High School and it's in Champaign, Illinois. That makes sense because Parkland is in Illinois, that college. If I click on the Centennial that's linked to Boise, completely different address. This is Boise, Idaho. So they are two separate high schools, right? But you can look at those high school college linkages by going to more, clicking on college high school linkages, and then searching either of these. Because if the high school is not linked to a college, no courses are showing up for kids, period, because we don't have that high school on the books. The other really kind of quick way to check is to pretend you're a kid. So if you're a kid and I was going to try to make an account and I click here to create one and I go here to check my high school and oh, what do you know? West Ottawa is not listed. Again, that's a red flag that West Ottawa is not listed because it's not linked, right? And I always triple check that by going onto the administration site and going to the college high school linkages. But this is my first red flag, is if I just pretend I'm a student, I don't actually go all the way through. But the first thing we ask a student when they want to make an account is to pick your school. And we get this list from the college. So if their school is not on the list, I'm betting that that college and the high school are not linked together, right?
So again, I'm confused at how they made an ID then. They must have selected a different high school when they created their student ID?
They could have, yep. Which is what they'll do. Like, oh, I didn't see my school, so I chose this, and I figured I could just contact you and you could change it. Well, I mean, I can. Yeah. And that's one of the things I can show you how to do, but kids are, or they'll choose, like some of them will have I don't think CWI does, but some of the colleges we work with will have all of the schools, and then at the very bottom, they'll have homeschool, high school not listed. So the kid picks that. And then I have to try to backtrack. Now, not every college gives that option. It depends on the college. Like CWI doesn't have that option. It's kind of like pick from those lists or don't. But some of our colleges do. And so you get a lot of kids picking that one because they don't see their high school. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. So, so I check to see if the high school and the college are linked. If they are not linked, then I will contact the student and the college and say, FYI, we had an inquiry about this. I'm not sure if they're actually a new high school that you have to bring on board. And then I go to what you just brought up. Is the student linked to the correct high school? Because we restrict the courses that the student can see based on the high school that they attend. So this one happens more often when the student says, I'm not seeing the right course. Like, I swear to God, there should be an art class. And whenever I log in, I'm not seeing this art class. And so my question is, are you attached to the right high school? So maybe West Ottawa offers art, but Holland Public Schools does not. And so it's like, were you at Holland Public Schools last year? And so this year you're at West Ottawa, but you didn't tell me. So I didn't move your account to be linked to West Ottawa, right? Are you linked to the correct high school? Because we restrict the course view based on that high school. So let's pretend we kind of had one of those. Let's see, I think this one was on SUNY. So let's pretend we were contacted by Pat Benatar. So I'm going to find this student. She says, I cannot see, whatever course it is she's looking for. So I first want to make sure she's got an account. I'll probably make sure that she's on the right URL. And if all of those things look good, all right, Pat, you go to Dunkirk High School. And sometimes in her ticket, right, her support ticket, her help us ticket, she'll be like, I attend Fewsburg High School and I can't find my art class. I'm like, wait a minute, you attend Fewsburg? I have you at Dunkirk. And that's the problem, right? So if she has already communicated that she is a senior at Fewsburg and I can't see my art class, my response to her would be, Pat, I have a Pat Benatar who previously attended Dunkirk High School. Did you attend that high school in the past, last year or last semester? And if she writes back, oh yes, I did, and I moved, and now I'm at, Fewsburg, then I need to change this right here, this high school that is linked to Pat Benatar. And I'll show you how to do that. Before I do that, let me log in as Pat so you can see how her course listing will change when I start relinking her. So let's go with Pat Benatar. So this is Pat logging in. She's trying to look at courses. And so see, she's got like an art class right here, biology. Maybe she doesn't have a speech, like communications is usually an offering that we'll see at high schools. So art, bio, business, chemistry, English, French, right? But she's maybe saying she needs a speech class. Like, I have to have a speech class. It's not on here. Communications, I don't understand what's going on. And then I find out that she's linked to the wrong high school. So I'm going to show you how to relink them. All right, so we've learned that Pat Benatar is not linked to their correct high school. Pull up her again. And I'll show you where we store that. Okay, so here's Pat Benatar. She's linked to Dunkirk. View as is kind of nifty because it lets you view like you are the student. But I want to click on edit. I want to edit the student's account or view the student's account. View obviously is just a snapshot. There's nothing that you can edit, and it just kind of gives you her name, her address, her birth date. If you click on edit, or if you clicked on the edit link, here is the high school that she is linked to. So it's a number. It's 53961. That is the high school that she is linked to. Remember, she's a Dunkirk student right now. So if I go over here to high schools and I search for Dunkirk, that's that number, 53961. That is the code that is linked to Pat Benatar's account, which is why I know she's a Dunkirk student. So if she's telling me I don't go to Dunkirk anymore, I go to Shrewsbury, then I've got to search for that school, and I have to get the code. Now, thankfully, there's one in New York, because this is a New York school. I could also, just to be extra safe, I could go to those linkages and find it that way. So she's a Jamestown Community College is who she's working with. So if I type that in to try to search, here's Jamestown, here's Dunkirk, but she's not there anymore. She's at Shrewsbury. And this is a nice way to do it, because let's pretend there's 10 Shrewsburys. I want the Shrewsbury that's linked to JCC, not the other Shrewsburys. And if you search in high school, you're just going to see every single school that's named Shrewsbury. You know what I mean? So, you know, either way, you can get there. If I click on the high school's name, that's where you get that code. There it is, 54032. So that's the correct code that Pat Benatar needs on her account. She needs it to be switched to this code. So I write it down, 54032. I go back to finding Little Miss Pat Benatar. I click on edit so I can edit her student account, and I get rid of that, and I type over 54032. I click update, and now if I search for Pat Benatar again, haha, she is now linked to Shrewsbury. It's no longer Dunkirk. And I'll show you, if I log in as Pat Benatar, her course list should look a little different, because now she is seeing what's available to those high school kids, the ones at Shrewsbury. Okay, so hey, there's communications, public speaking, exactly what she was looking for. And so the reason she didn't see it before was because she was linked to the wrong high school. She moved high schools and didn't tell anybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, is it possible ever for a student to be at two high schools? Like here it is. Okay, all right. I wouldn't think so, but they do have here that some kids go to, like they have a science academy that they could go to on A days, and then they have their home high school, which is a different high school that they go to on B days. But that
We're
is not
starting to see a little bit of that with tech centers. So that's kind of the same thing, like vocational tech centers. So you'll have a kid who goes to West Ottawa, but for half the day they go to the Career Line Tech Center to take welding, right? Mm-hmm. And so in order for us to have two schools linked to them, both the Career Line Tech Center and West Ottawa, their home high school, have to work with the same college. And that doesn't always happen. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why I was wondering if
they would have math courses, but they don't have welding classes, right? In the event that happens, because we have seen where some schools, some colleges do that. They do kind of academic classes and then like VOTEC classes, technical classes. Yeah. We're kind of, our developers are looking at that to see if we can link the tech center to a high school. In other words, that tech center is only open to these high schools. It's not like a kid from Arizona can go to that tech center. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So can we build it to where a kid who's from West Ottawa sees West Ottawa classes and Career Line Tech Center classes, because West Ottawa is linked to that tech center. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the high school of record, the one that's attached to the kid, is still going to be West Ottawa. We're just almost linking another high school to that high school. It's not really a high school, it's a center, right? Math Science Center, Career Tech Center, etc. But we haven't done it yet. So that's kind of new and interesting, maybe yet to come. But I see what you're saying. So as of right now, they are linked to one high school.
Okay.
Okay, so kid can't see courses. Check the URL, check to make sure that the high school and the college are actually linked, and then check to make sure that the kid's at the right high school, because if they are linked to the wrong high school, then they won't see the correct courses. The last thing that you'll want to do is make sure that that section is even open or available. So let's try another one of these. We get a contact from Brittany Spears, and Brittany Spears goes to Shrewsbury High School, and she's like, I have to take French. I'm supposed to take French 1. I can't see it. I don't understand what's going on. So I'm going to log into Uber. I've already asked Brittany if she's using the correct URL. She's like, yep, I'm using the correct URL. So I'm going to try to find little Miss Britney Spears. And I find her, and I want to make sure she's linked to Frewsburg. She told me she's Frewsburg. Yep, looks good. All right, she's attached to the right, right school, using the right URL. I will even check to make sure that Frewsburg is linked, even though we've already kind of been working with them. But all right, let's double check. Oh, yep, you're linked. Okay, everything looks good. I can't understand what's going on with Brittany, why she's not getting this French class. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to view as Brittany. I want to see what Brittany sees. So here's Brittany. I'm going to click on View As. So I am pretending to be Britney Spears. And I am on her profile. I can click on her status page. This is like what she's got going on right now. It looks like she's trying to get into a public speaking class. I go to courses, and these are the courses Brittany can see. And she is right. There is no French. Like, there goes from English to math. If we're doing this alphabetically, French is not here. So when she's saying, oh my God, I need French and I can't find French, she's right. She can't see French. And she's using the right URL, and she is, linked to the right high school. And I have no idea why this isn't happening. So my next thing is to make sure that the college has actually opened a French class for Frewsburg, right? Because just because Britney Spears wants French doesn't mean that the college is going to award credit for French. Maybe the college has decided that the French class at that high school is not rigorous enough. And so no, we're not giving college credit for that, right? So the way to check and see what sections are open for various students is to view as the college. So the college that we're talking about is Jamestown, SUNY JCC. This is the college that is linked to Frewsburg. So there it is, Jamestown Community College. And I have a View As button again. I can view as if I am the college. So these are what the college folks see when they log in. They have a profile. They have students. I can prove to you that Britney Spears is on this roster, right? She is part of this, this college's purview. So there she is. There's that community class, communications class she's trying to get. But the question is, how come Brittany can't see French? So if I go over here to the courses tab, these are all the courses that the college has set up with us, right? Now, not all of these are available at Frewsburg. Frewsburg has a restricted list. So Brittany is asking about this French class. She is, determined to get French 1, which is FRE 2510. So I'm going to look for French. Okay, FRE 2510. All right, well, it is a class that the college teaches. I'm going to click on it. This is the information about the class. It's 3 credits. They could put a little description in here. But what you really want to do is go look at the sections, right? How many sections of this class are being taught? So if I click on course section, I can see they have 1 class at Dunkirk and they have 1 class at Southwestern. Guess what, Britney Spears? Frewsburg is not one of the schools that gets to have French. Now, what I don't know is if Britney Spears is mistaken or if the college made a mistake and they meant to add a Frewsburg section of French and they forgot. So normally I will write Britney Spears back and I'll say, I've looked into this and it appears that French 1 is not available at your high school. So I'm going to reach out to the college. I will communicate that you basically place an inquiry with us, and I will make sure, that the course listing for Frewsburg is correct. But at this time, JCC does not have a French section assigned to Frewsburg. And you can actually dig a little deeper. Like if you click on these actual section numbers, it'll tell you everything about it. So section 4312, it's taught by a high school teacher face-to-face. So it's not an online course, right? There's different options here. But it's a face-to-face course. It's located at the high school. It's for the full year 2016. And here's the campus. It's taught at Dunkirk, right? And I could change that if I talk to the college and like, oh man, I forgot that. Yep, it shouldn't be Dunkirk. I messed up. It should be Frewsburg. I can change it. I can change it to Frewsburg. I can click update at the very bottom, and all of a sudden that will show up for little Miss Britney Spears and any other student at Frewsburg. Now, I prefer not to change it. I prefer to show the college how to change it themselves, because the college can get into these sections just like you and I can. We are viewing as the college, right? And so I will show them like, oh, actually, you're able to do this. You're able to change the location. I'm happy to walk you through that. And so then I will let the college make the change. I will reach back out to Britney Spears and say, you know what? It was a mistake. The college communicated that. You should be able to log in now and see French.
Okay, you said change, but if you hit add, does it then, what if it was supposed to be
at both? Add is a new campus. You want to select the one that's listed here.
It's supposed to be at both campuses, so you can you hit add and then it'll do the same thing. Okay.
Right, yep. And then also on the section, this is how you restrict who can see it. So, you know, these are all of the schools that SUNY JCC works with. They work with Jamestown High School, Ellicott High School, Maple Grove, but you'll see that the only one that is checked is Dunkirk. They are saying this class meets at Dunkirk High School. It is only available to Dunkirk High School kids. I do not want Frewsburg kids taking this class. They are not physically in that building. So this is where the high school gets to tell us who gets to see this section. I mean, I suppose if they wanted to let Frewsburg see it, maybe Frewsburg is just across the street, they could check this box, and then both Frewsburg and Dunkirk kids could see the class and register for the class. But more often than not, the class is restricted to the high school in which it is held. If it's at Dunkirk, it's only for Dunkirk kids. You know, Dunkirk High School doesn't want other kids coming into their building. Does that make sense?
But if you add it, it will automatically change it down there also, right?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So that's the last thing that I would check for Brittany is even if this course exists, right? So I can say, okay, yep, you're right, the college does have French, but if I look at the sections, there's not one at Frewsburg. So that's why you're not seeing it, Brittany. And I will say, I will reach out to the college and double check, but as of right now, Jamestown doesn't offer French in your building. And then, of course, I'll reach out to the college and I'll communicate that, and we'll see if it was a mistake or if they legitimately do not have French offered at that school.
How many people do you work with at the college? Is there usually one person that handles the administrative activities associated with the system?
There is usually one person who's like our go-to point person. Sometimes they will have like an assistant or two. So like for instance at Missouri Southern, Tawny is my go-to, but she works with somebody named Emily who's kind of her support person. But whenever I have a question, I go to Tawny. And so it's, yeah, most institutions there's one point person that we work with.
And is that information under, if you go under the colleges? Like if, let's say I want to go to the college and check.
No, it's here. So you'll be able to see, well, you won't be able to see who the point person is. You'll be able to see all of the users for that college. So if I go to colleges, and let's go with, oh, and this is on Dev. All right, hang on. Let me go to our live site real quick. I know my font changed again. Give me a sec to get it back to where it was.
Getting old. Your eyes just going downhill.
All right. So on the live site, because this is live people, not fake people, if I were to go to a college, like Missouri Southern is one of the people we work with, and I look for that college, so I'm on the college tab, I'm searching for Missouri Southern, I find it, I click view, not view as. I want to view this entry, this account, right? So if I click on view, it tells me everything about Missouri Southern. Here's their code. You know, it might have the address. They're in Joplin, Missouri. That's the zip code. Here's their website. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, here are all the people that we work with. So Julie is my contact. It looks like here's Tawny. And it looks like we've got an Aaron. And the problem is I don't know who these people are. Like, I don't know if Tawny's our contact versus Julie, like who's our point person. But these are all the people who have a login for Missouri Southern. These are all the people at the college who can access our site. So one of these people is going to be my point people. You know, and I can.
And how will we know that?
Yeah, so I can certainly add that to a resource. We have an internal document that's shared on Google Drives, but it's used for production planning, and so I don't know if they'll want to share that entire, it's huge, that entire document with you, or maybe they'll just copy the section of it that has the point people name and email address. I'll ask Janet about that, how she wants to handle getting that information to you guys.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Sounds like they could almost make a field there that said contact or you know, point person.
For the role of each.
I'm writing this down so I don't forget to ask that question. And normally, you know, you're answering help desk tickets, so somebody, you know, put that information in there and you can respond directly to them. And oftentimes it is the college or the high school who is reaching out to us because the kids like went and complained or called, you know. But yes, it's still good to know that you need to know the point person for each of the schools. So I'll ask Janet what's the best way to get that information to you guys. Okay, and it's the same thing for the high school. So like, let's pretend, you know, Frewsburg again is one of the schools that JCC works with, Jamestown works with. So if I look for Frewsburg under high schools, I only have one. If I click view, view the actual record, and I go down, here are the two people. These must be the two counselors. That's my guess. Randy and Rachel. And these are their email addresses, right? So these are their users. And so sometimes they can't log in, and they'll be under users. They're not a student. They are a user, right? So I would actually look for them here. Instead of under students, I would look for them under users. And that's where you look for every user that isn't a student. I mean, you can look for students. I can look for Jeff Bridges. He was one of our practice students at the beginning. And it'll pull him up, because he is a user. Well, this is our live site, so Jeff's not on there. But I can also pull up high school users. So here's Rachel. She was that one who was a high school user for Ferris Frewsburg. And if you view them, you can see who they are. Like, this is Rachel, her email address. She's linked to this high school. Her role is a high school counselor, right? If I look at another user, let's see, Savannah, let's look at you, view. That's her email address. She is a student, and she is linked to CCCK, Central Christian College of Kansas, right? So you can always search for people and users, and that will show you every user, a college user, a high school user, a student user. The students tab is just really nice if we're just looking for students, period.
Okay.
Okay, so that was kind of how you problem solve your way through, I can't see any courses, right? We go through, are you using the correct URL? Is your high school linked to the college? Are you at the right high school? Meaning, did you move high schools and forget to tell us? And then, is that section even exist for you, right? Is that even open? The next question that we get is, the student says that they registered for a course, but I can't see them. And when I say I, it means the high school or the college, right? The high school or the college is trying to do their pieces, right? Approve them, upload a transcript. And little Johnny is saying, I registered. And the counselor is saying, Johnny, I don't see you. I don't see you on my list. Are you sure you registered for this course? And so it's kind of like, what the heck happened to Johnny? How can Johnny think that he registered for a course, and yet the high school and the college cannot see this student, right? That's another kind of frequently reported issue. So the thing is, kind of the list I work through is, did the student actually register for a course, or did they just create an account? Those are two different things. If you just created an account and you activate it, big whoop. But if you didn't actually look at the course list and click on register, then right, nobody is going to see you. A student does not show up on the high school's list or the college's list until they pick a class. Because, again, we do have a couple of high schools that work with two colleges. So I'm not going to show Boise State any student unless that student has picked a class that belongs to Boise State. I'm not going to show CWI a kid unless the kid has picked a class that belongs to CWI. You have no reason to look at that kid, right? So sometimes the kid has made an account, but they didn't do anything else. They didn't actually click on a course and try to register for one. The other thing that we find happens is students click on save course instead of register for a course. Two different things. Saving a course is like you're going to come back to it later after you talk to mom or dad. You actually have not registered. And then there are a couple of different ways that the high schools can view kids. So let's kind of work our way through what happens if a student says, I registered, but nobody can see them on their interfaces, the high school or the college. So let's pretend the person who calls us is, or who tells us this, is the student April Kepner, right? All right, April Kepner, let's check you out. Let's use another dev site. Oops, I hate it when I do that. There we go. Maybe not. Small state. Oh. There. Okay. So I'm going to log into administration and try to figure out what the heck is going on with the student's account, why nobody can see little Miss April Kepner. So I'm going to type in her last name. Oops, let me zoom in again. Okay, Kepner. All right. Yay, you have an account, April. I can see it. Here's your username. You're attached to Coleman. I'm going to click on your user. It has been confirmed. It says confirmed is true. Okay, good. I'm going to go back. And so here's April. She's got an account. It's a confirmed account. I'm going to view as this student, right? I'm going to see what April sees. So view as April. And here's my first clue. Her profile is pretty blank. And what that tells me is, April, you probably made an account and activated it, but you didn't go back in and fill out the application and give us your parents' email address and like none of that stuff. All you did was create an account and activate it. You didn't go back after the account was activated. And if I click on status, there are no courses here. So that is why nobody is seeing you. You haven't picked courses, sweetie. Like if you don't pick anything, you're not showing up on anybody's list, right? And so I might explain that. I'll say, look, it looks like April made an account. It looks like she confirmed account, but it looks like she did nothing else. She didn't, complete the application. She didn't pick courses. So April needs to log back in, and she needs to complete that process. And if April can't get back in, let me know, and I'll be happy to reset her account, right? Like reset her password for her. But that would be a reason that she doesn't show up on anybody's list. It's because she doesn't have any classes. And when you pick a class, that's when it kind of sends information to both the college and the high school, because it's at that point that they have to do something. They have to approve things. They have to attach transcripts. If she hasn't picked anything, there's nothing for those two users to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. So that would be how I kind of go through April, and I'll say, okay, do they have an account? Is it a confirmed account? Do you have any courses on your account? So I view as the student, and it says right here that you are viewing as a student. 582 is or 5825 is April's code ID in our system. And if I click on her status page and there's nothing here, that tells me that that's why nobody is seeing her. She hasn't picked courses yet. I might also click on courses just to make sure that she sees something, and I'm like, yeah, they're there. All of her, all of the choices are there. She just actually has to log in and pick something, right? That's the problem. If I do that and it looks right, then here's my next thing is to make sure that they registered for courses and did not save courses. So let me show you the difference as I'm looking on April's and I'm kind of viewing as April. If April wanted to take art appreciation and she clicks on here, here's the register button. Here is save course. I do not know why kids click this and think that that's registering. It saves their course like to come back later. It doesn't actually register them. This is the button that they need to click. It's all the way to the right of their particular class section, and yet some kids click on this button instead, and they think that that's registering, and so that's not the case. So how can you tell? How can you tell if that's exactly what a kid did? I will show you. So let's go back to admin. Let's pretend another kid contacted us and said the same thing. I know I registered, but nobody can see me. My high school can't see me. My college can't see me on their list. And let's pretend this was Joe Wilson. So I'm going to go back to students. I'm going to type Little Miss Joe Wilson, see if I can find her. Okay, lots of Wilsons, but here's Joe Wilson. Check her account. Yep, it's been confirmed because there's no confirm link. And if I look here, it says confirmed is true. So she has confirmed her account. All right, and then I'm going to view as Joe. I want to see what Joe sees. So if I click view as, this looks good. She's got some information in her profile. Got a little parent email address down here. Okay, I'm going to go over to her status page. And it says, saved course is English. I need that to be up here because it says, you have not registered for anything. All you did was save it. So I would email Joe back and I'll say, oh, here's the problem, Joe. You saved this course. You did not register for it. So you actually need to, sorry, that was because it's a dev site. You actually need to click on the course, and instead of clicking on save, you need to click register. Right? So here's English composition. You need to click any of these register buttons. Do not click the saved button at the bottom. And actually that save button is gone because she's already clicked it, right? She's already saved this course. So that's the problem. Again,
saving a course.
I'm sorry?
What's the value to them in saving a course?
We find that it gets used if the high school has a tremendous amount of options to them. So I'm going to go back to Boise State. Boise State lets those kids take online courses, and all of their online courses, there's like 58 online courses available, period, and then what's available in their high school. So when they go to their course list, it is like literally 8 pages, page after page. So if the kid is trying to decide what they want to take, maybe they'll save 4 of them and then talk to their counselor about which ones will be approved or which one the high school will pay for or which one will count towards graduation requirements. Otherwise, trying to go through 8 pages back and forth is a pain in the rear end. So it allows them to kind of whittle that list down. Saved courses is not very valuable if your choices are 4 courses, but it is more valuable if your course listing is huge.
Right, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what the purpose was.
What if it's a course that they would, let's say, have to go take? let's say that's the history one. How do they know if the course is full? Will it come off of this list if it's already full?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and it depends on a couple of different things. If the college uses a data exchange with us, which they allow our system to talk to their data system, their student information system, then yes, we can get updates as to when that class is closed. And we have to define how often do those two systems communicate. If they communicate on the hour, then I'm not going to know until the next hour passes which ones are open and which ones are closed. Oftentimes, if there are classes that are in the high school, meaning they are only available to high school students, when the college builds that section, at the very bottom, there's a place that says capacity, and they can put how many butts in the seats, like 30 people, 25 people. And so the system keeps count of how many kids have picked that CRN, and if you reach 25 and I'm the 26th, this register button won't work. It'll say, you know, you cannot register for this class at this time because the class is full. Now, that is not super helpful in online courses if those courses are open to more than one high school, because that section, like I'm thinking about dual enrollment, true dual enrollment, when a kid can go to a college campus and take a class, it's not in their high school. In that case, some of the butts in those seats are adults. Like I have no idea how many adults, because the adults aren't using dualenroll.com. Dualenroll.com is for high school kids only. So that's when you have to have a data exchange so that I know live information, how many seats are left in that class. And if the college does not want to do a data exchange, then what happens is this kid gets all the way through the process. They have a complete packet. We send it to the college, and the college tries to enroll them, and the college says, oops, it's full. And they have to go back to the kid and say, kid, pick a different class. It is not very efficient, but some colleges do not want to use the data exchange, and we are very upfront with how that limits them. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're going to run into if we don't get live data from you. If we don't do it.
Do they do any waitlisting?
I have not seen a program that has done waitlisting through us. Not yet, at least. Yep. Okay, so that's the other thing that I would check is, you know, check to see if they have saved the course versus registering for the course. So little Joe Wilson, you know, I found her, I viewed as Joe Wilson, and here we are. I can see that it's under saved courses and not dual enrollment courses. It should be up here, not down here. So I will communicate that to Joe. I will have Joe log back in and actually click register this time. The only other thing that I would check, if let's say it's a high school who says, I know this student registered, they keep telling me that they registered, but I don't see them. So I've checked all these things. I've made sure that there are courses. I've made sure that they didn't click save, that they actually clicked register, all of that jazz. And so here's the other thing that could happen. So let's pretend a college or a high school calls and says, I cannot see this student, Lena Duquesne. She tells me that she registered and I can't find her. So I look for Lena Duquesne. Let's start with the student. Okay, here's the student, looks good. She's got a user account. It is confirmed. I like that. Let's view as Lena. So view as this lovely little student. Looks like she's got good information in here. Let's go over to her status. It's up here under dual enrollment courses, not under saved. That looks great. So I'm like, yeah, how come you are not seeing this kid? Because this all looks right to me, right? She's taking classes. They're for spring 17. I will verify that she is a Coleman High School student. Like if I go back out again, it says Coleman. So if Coleman High School is the counselor who's reaching out to me, I'm like, okay, something weird is going on. How come you can't see Lena Duquesne? Okay, let me show you a couple of things. So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log in as Coleman High School so I can show you what this counselor sees and why they're confused. So Coleman High School contacted us, and they say, I can't see Lena Duquesne. I've done my little investigating, and I'm thinking you should be able to see Lena. So here's the high school. They're logged in. Oh, come on, computer. There we go. And I'm going to search for Lena. And it says, no, you got nobody. So a couple of things that I always check with the counselor when they say they can't see anybody. Are you looking in the correct term? So if this was spring 17, make sure you're looking at spring 17 or you're looking in all terms. So check that. That's always a good way to check. So they're under all terms and they're still not seeing Lena. here's the other thing for a high school counselor to check. Click on View All DE Students. This is why. When the student made their account, one of the pre-registration screens says pick your counselor. If there are two counselors, if there is a counselor Leanne and a counselor Kathy, and Lena chose counselor Kathy, when Leanne, logs in, Leanne is not seeing her, not as the default list, because Lena chose Kathy as her counselor. So when Kathy logs in, Kathy sees Lena, right? Now, I can see her, Leanne can see her if she clicks on View All DE Students. There she is. She's right here. You don't see her when you log in because she didn't pick you as her counselor. And I know that if I click on this plus symbol, she picked Coleman High School number 2, and I logged in as Coleman High School number 1. So she picked Leanne, and I logged in as Kathy, and so no, Kathy's not going to see her if that student did not choose you as their counselor. Doesn't mean she's not there, it just means she's not on your default list. So we encourage the high school, if they're still having problems, to click on View All DE Students up at the top of their student list, and that will allow them to see students that picked a different counselor. Now, if they do that and they're like, oh, well, Lena picked the wrong counselor, she's supposed to be mine. The high school, the college, we here at dualenroll.com, we can fix that. All you have to do is click on the student's name. You're brought to their profile. You go over here to high school, and it says her guidance counselor is Coleman High School number 2. If I change that to Coleman High School number 1, then when that person logs in, Lena's going to show up. I don't have to click on View All DE Students anymore. I have reassigned her to the other counselor. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's hard for me to see that because this is why it's hard for me to see that. I can view as Coleman High School, but I cannot view as one user. So let me explain that, which is something that we're actually working on. I've already complained about it enough times. If Coleman High School told me that they can't see Lena Duquesne, and so I'm going to find Coleman High School, I've looked for Lena, everything looks perfect on Lena's account. So I find Coleman High School, not the tech center. I click View As. If Coleman High School has 3 counselors, my View As shows me what all 3 counselors see. You see what I'm saying? Like I don't have a View As counselor number 1, View As counselor number 2. I just have View As Coleman High School. So
does it show you who
counselors? Well, it'll show me who the counselors are. Like it'll show me that I have 3 of them, but I'm basically seeing the combined screen of all 3 counselors. And that's not what the counselor is seeing. The counselor is seeing their kids. Do you see what I'm saying? I have no way to duplicate a counselor high school's view, like their specific view. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why it's really hard for me to investigate. But if I've investigated everything else, if I have said Lena's got an account, Lena has classes, Lena, she registered for them, she didn't click on save, then my next guess is counselor. Can you click on View All DE Students? Can you do that? And if she shows up, she's got the wrong counselor attached to her name. I can look for her like this, like I'm viewing as Coleman High School. And I can click on her name, and I can also do the whole, what high school do you belong to, who's your counselor? So if my email was from counselor number 2, I could be like, oh, well, that's why. She's not on your account. But it's really hard. I can't duplicate a counselor's view. I can duplicate everybody at that high school's view. And I'm hoping we can change that because it would be really helpful to see what Kathy the counselor sees versus Leanne the counselor sees. And right now, I just see any counselor at Coleman. I see all of it. And I can't distinguish between the 2 of them in the admin screen.
Got it.
Yep.
But like I said, you can do a little bit of problem solving and backtracking to try to figure out what's going on. And the gist of it is that you just ask the counselor, can you please click that View All DE Students link at the top of your student list and see if she shows up that way. And if she does, then we got the wrong counselor assigned to her, and we can change it if we need to. Sound good?
Got it. Yep, sounds good.
All right. How are we doing on time? It's 3:01. Do you guys have a hard stop at 3 o'clock? Or can I do one more?
You can do one more.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, one more. Let's do one more. So the next kind of frequently reported problem is it won't let me register. And so a student will say that, a high school or a college or a parent will report that. Like I'm trying to take English and it won't let me take English. Like, okay, well, that's weird. How come it won't let you take English? So let's kind of work through what that might look like. So I'm going to go to another dev site. As a general rule, you try to be on the URL for the college in question. So if this ticket was from a Parkland college person, then I want to be on the Parkland site when I go to admin. If it was from a Wallace State person, I want to be on the Wallace State website. Just like everybody has a unique URL to go to, we as the support people, my login, R. Ramirez, works on all of them, but I try to be on the correct URL when I'm trying to problem solve. So my example for these are Parkland people. So I'm going to go to the Parkland website. I'm going to log into admin and make this bigger again. And I'm going to start looking at this student. So the student's name is Deanna Quinn, and Deanna Quinn is saying it will not let me register for English. So I'm like, all right, what is going on? So I'm going to find the student. Okay, well, first of all, Deanna, you've got 2 accounts, so that's interesting. We've got a duplicate account. I want to see which one is active. Are they both confirmed? Okay, that one is confirmed. Let's check the other one. That one is not confirmed. So I'm going to make a little note that I need to delete this one. It's not confirmed. She's not using this one. It's a duplicate account. I'm going to go back and delete it. But right now I'm going to help the student. So this is the one that's active. I'm going to view as so I can see what this student is seeing. So she's got her profile information. I'll go to status. Well, she says she can't take English, so let's try it. So is English even available? Yes. When she clicks on courses, here's English. Okay. If I click on it, how many sections are open? All right. Yep. It's got a little register button. All right. So I don't understand why. Let's go to status. Here's why. She took or tried to take English in spring 2016. So the system is not going to let her take it in the fall. You cannot take the same class twice. Most high schools or even parents or even colleges are not going to let the kid take the same college class twice because it costs money. So if you don't pass it, we're not paying for it for a second time, right? Now, I don't know what the grade was on this class. We haven't, dualenroll.com doesn't currently store grades or show grades. It's something that we're talking about with our colleges. But all I do know is the reason that you can't sign up for this class right now, because right now it's a fall semester class, and the reason it won't let you, if I keep trying to click this button, nothing happens, and I'm clicking, is because the system says you're already taking this class. No, I'm not going to let you take it again. So what I would say to the student is, all right, we have a record of you taking English 101 in spring 2016, so it will not let you take English 101 again in the fall. Did you take this class last year? And if the student says, well, I started to, but my parents couldn't afford it, so I didn't actually take the course. And I'm like, well, see, that's what this abandon button is for. Because right now, our system thinks that you were in progress of taking this course, right? And so usually I'll verify that with the college. I'll say, you know what, Deanna Quinn contacted us. She wants to take English this year. We have a record of her trying to take English last year, but she says she never actually enrolled. Can you verify that? And if the college is like, oh, yeah, yep, she never took it, then I can say you can abandon it, as in the college, or I can abandon it for them. So I'm in here. I'm just going to click abandon. And it says, do you really want to abandon her class from the spring? Yes, I've already verified that with the college. It didn't actually happen. If the registration is abandoned, suddenly this English registration button is going to work. And I can actually do it for the kid. So I'm in here in the administration site. I'm viewing as this student, Deanna Quinn. And if I click register, it will add it for her. And so I'll do it, and I'll write back to her, and I'll say, all right, we figured it out. The college verified that you didn't take it in the spring. So you'll see that on your status page, that one is listed as abandoned. And because it was abandoned, I was able to add the fall class for you. You're all set, right? I mean, after I abandon it, I could just write the student back and say, now you're all set, go in and click register, it will work. But I, as an administrator, can do that for the student. If I'm viewing as the student, I can pick courses for them. We try not to do that unless we have a written record of what they're asking for. But yes, you're able to do that. And that was the reason that she was having a problem, is because the system thought she already had a registration in progress in the past. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. But what if they took the class and failed it? Can they take it again?
So it has to say abandoned. That is the only rule that our system says. It can't say in progress. It can't say needs parent permission. It can't say complete. It can't say failed, which actually doesn't mean a failed grade. It means the registration failed, like your parent said no or the high school said no. It can't say anything but abandoned. It has to say abandoned. Any other status, and the system won't let you pick another one, which I think is kind of silly. I think failed should also be a status that would allow you to take it again. I think what they're trying to prevent is if it says failed, it's because somebody said no. Your parent said no, your high school said no. So it's trying to stop the kid from the next day going in and saying, well, I want to take it again. And then the counselor says no. And then you say, well, I want to take it again. And then the counselor's going to get pissed. How many times do they keep saying no? Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why it's there, is because if it was failed, it's because somebody legitimately said, no, I do not approve this class for you. And so abandoned is really kind of it's a different status. It means just kidding, this was a mistake, which allows them to move forward. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what, let's say I've got another student who contacts me with the same thing that says, look, I'm really trying to take this welding class and it will not let me take this class. So I look up the student. Student's name this time is Amy Malone. Let's find her. Amy Malone, looks good. User, yes, it is confirmed. Okay, let's go back. Let's view as little Miss Amy Malone. Profile looks good. Go to status. So the reason is because she's trying to take welding this year. If I go over here to courses, looks like welding 110 is available. And they've got 2 sections, spring. Ooh, see, this is another red flag. This is a spring 2016 class. Technically, that shouldn't even be there. Why would I let kids take a class that's in the past? So actually, I have a little note on here that this is going to show me another thing that I can do with the colleges. But technically, yes, there is a spring 2017 class, which is coming up. She might be trying to register for this. Look at these 2 buttons right here. Do you see the difference?
Registered.
Registered, yes. So that's another indication that, like, honey, it's not letting you click this button because you already took it last year. And if I go over here to status, here it is, spring 16. And it says registration complete, which is not failed, but it's not abandoned. It has to be abandoned for a kid to select it a second time. And this is not abandoned. This is complete. This looks like you got all the way through and you were enrolled, right? So again, I say to the student, it is because you have already taken this class. We have a record that you took this class in spring 2016. And she writes back, oh, no, I didn't. I actually dropped the class. I went to one day and then I decided that I didn't like the teacher and so I didn't take it. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to confirm that with the college. So I asked the college, yada, 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 did Amy Malone take this class? They say no. But you'll see that there's no abandon button. Like, where the heck is my abandon button? The abandon button is only there while a registration is in progress. This one is not in progress. It's done. It is listed as complete. So we have a reset. A reset sends it all the way back to the beginning, like the kid just clicked register. So I would click reset. All of a sudden, the abandon button pops up, and now I click abandon right away. Because see, look, it looks like all of these steps have to be completed again. The high school has to say yes, the parent has to say yes, because it pushed it all the way back to the beginning. That's what reset does. And I'm just going to click abandon. So I've reset it to get the abandon button back. I click abandon, now it's gone. If I am the student and I go back to that welding class, it no longer says registered, right? It would allow me to pick another one now. So, I mean, the gist is, if a kid cannot register for a course, somewhere you already took that course, whether you took it in the past and it's listed as complete, whether you took it in the past and it was like in progress, you didn't actually complete it all the way through, but you already kind of added it to your list of courses to take. So I have to get it to an abandoned status in order for me to allow you to take the course, to register for it again. Now, what this showed me, yep, okay. Go ahead.
So where do you verify that this person had it registered, but how do you know that they didn't complete the course and shouldn't be taking it again versus just more of a registration issue, or they registered?
I have to verify that with the college. And that, again, depends on the data exchange. So, like, if this college uses the data exchange, I only got the complete message because their system sent us a complete message, which means, honey, you're in their system. Now, here's the problem. Some colleges use us to register, but they don't use us to drop an ad. So if the kid registered and we sent their system a little message that said, did this kid register? And the system says, yes, the registration is complete. And so we mark it as complete. 2 days later, the girl calls and says, I want to drop the class. And the college says, come in here and fill out this paper form. Well, that has nothing to do with our website. So, you know, some colleges use data exchange for certain pieces. They use us for registration, but not for dropping and adding. So if this kid legitimately dropped this class, I have no way of knowing that. You guys don't tell me that, right? So my system thinks that she's still in there because that was the last message we got from your data system. You guys handle your drops offline with a paper form. That doesn't help me. So that's when I have to go to the college. I mean, anytime there's a discrepancy, if a kid says, I didn't do this, I send an email to the college that says, the student is reporting that they did not take welding in spring 2016. Can you verify that? And I have to go on what the college says.
Right, so if they come back and say, yes, you know, she dropped the class after a day, she can take it again, you have that email.
And I abandon it. I reset and I abandon it and I say, have at it, kid. Or I might even just register it for her. Like if I know the section she wants and there's only one section, I'll just do like, all right, I added it. But if the college comes back and says, she took that class and she failed it, then I call the student back and I say, student, I'm sorry, the college verified that you were in that class. You are not able to take that class again.
Can't they take it again? If they took it and failed it, there's not an option to take it again?
Well, I mean, that's tricky. That's not our decision. Okay, let's put it that way. That's not our decision. So let's pretend that the state funds, there are some states, like the state of Ohio, has state funding to pay for these courses. Like they will pay up to, let's say, 3 college courses for a student their junior and senior year. If the college, if the state used tax dollars to pay for a class and you failed it, no, honey, I am not paying for it again. That was your one chance. You see what I'm saying? So it is not our choice as to whether or not we can let kids retake a class once it's failed. We have to get that information from the college. 9 times out of 10, it's an automatic no, because whether it was the state people who paid for it, or if it was the school, like the high school used part of their per pupil allowance funding that they get from the state of, you know, the state to pay for this course, and the answer is no. Some high schools will make the kid pay them back. I paid $800 for this course and you failed it. You owe me $800. And if it's the parents paid, and maybe the parents want to shell out another $800 again, the high school is going to say absolutely not. Because they failed a course, they don't have any room in their schedule. Next semester, they have to take all these classes or they're not going to graduate. They don't have any room for a college course. That was their one shot to take a college course, and they blew it. So there's a variety of reasons why the answer is no. You cannot take that class again. It has to do with funding. It has to do with how many spots in their schedule they have open for, for college classes versus what they have to take for their high school requirements. And so as a general rule, we do not let kids take a class that they have failed unless the college has explicitly told us that that's an option.
And then if they say yes, it's an option, we go back. The only option is to go ahead and reset?
Abandon it. Yep, reset and abandon it and have the kid go again. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a way, I mean, we build the system to satisfy 99% of, customers. And we do have ways to customize and configure. It just gets harder and harder if you start configuring down to those levels.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So those are the things that we check if a student says, it will not let me register. Then I'm thinking that you've already registered for this course. And I need to verify that you didn't in fact take it so I can abandon it or reset and abandon it depending on the state that it's in. The other thing that I wanted to say when we were kind of going through this, how I'm viewing as this student, Amy Malone, and I noticed that she has a spring 16 course available right here, and I'm thinking that shouldn't be there. Like, uh-oh. The college, if we are in December, the college does not want you registering for classes that were April. Like that's in the past. You should not be able to see those classes. What this tells me is that the college forgot to inactivate a term. So when a college opens up registration, they usually have an open and a deadline, right? So like kids can pick all their fall classes from, let's say, August 1st until September 5th. And then after September 5th, that's it. You cannot pick classes anymore. You have missed the deadline. You're going to have to wait till spring when we open up registration in January, right? When the college wants to close registration, they have to inactivate a term. And so if I was working on this problem, I would definitely help the student, but then I'd be writing an email to the college that says, college, you forgot to inactivate spring 2016. And I can do it for you. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. We might have some kids who have picked spring 2016 classes that you weren't aware of. We didn't catch it in time, kind of a thing. So the way to verify that is you look at the college. So I think this is Wallace State. No, this is Parkland. So I go to the college tabs, I search for Parkland, I view as Parkland College, so this is what the college sees. If I go to the profile for the college, there's a little thing that says academic terms. These are all their semesters. And if I click on them, I can see which terms they have open and which ones are inactive. So they have fall 2016, spring 17, fall 17, like they've worked ahead, right? And then here's the start dates and the end dates for registration, like when they're going to open it up for their kids. Spring should not be active anymore. It has passed, right? We are well past 10/31/15. If you click on that term, you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a little thing that says inactivate, update. And so now it shows me that that term isn't active. Now kids will not see courses that have that term because that term is no longer available. And so if I was working with a kid and I saw that, I saw a listing that was in the past, I'd be like, uh-oh, and I would contact the college and I say, I think you have left a past term open that you don't want to be open. I think you need to inactivate spring. And I'm happy to do that for you if you can verify that that's what you want done. You know? I mean, honestly, the college can do this. The college logs in, they click on terms, they can do it, but we will also do it for them.
What happens if you were saying earlier that you do not get, a lot of times you don't get updated information for the people that are registering directly through the college, and so what happens if you do have students that are still registering, but in reality the session is actually full?
Mm-hmm. Again, that depends on the college. So I mean, basically what we would do, and it depends on, you know, if they use data exchange or not, is we will alert them that we were unable to process this registration because the class is full. And then it's kind of like, what do you want to do? And that's part of the thing that we go through in the discovery process is we say, okay, so what happens if the registration is declined? Do you want us to send an email to the kid that says, unfortunately, your high school said no? Do you want us to send an email to the parent? Like, what happens in this instance? And so when we're doing the discovery process, we ask that question too. What happens if a class is full, you know? And so oftentimes what we see is that the college will take it upon themselves to start communicating with the high school counselor. And so they will, you know, write a comment, because if you decline something or if something gets declined, let me see if I can get to a screen that looks like that. There's usually a comments box. Yeah, college review forms. So there's a comments box where they can say, unfortunately, this section is closed, but I do have a section that meets on Tuesday, Thursday. Will that work with the student schedule? Do you know what I mean? And then it's the college's responsibility to work their way out of that hole, essentially.
But if there's no data exchange, it's the college's responsibility to periodically go in from their side and close out a session.
That's true. Yep, that's true. So yes, it's their responsibility to go in and close out. Or if they don't want to close out anything, then you run the risk of getting a bunch of stuff that's already closed and you're going to have to go out back and fix it. Now, here's the good news. Before you continue, here's the good news. Out of all of our customers, 90+% of them only use us for the classes that are in the high school, meaning we are not competing with adults fighting for those seats. I think Boise State uses us for classes that are also at the college where you're competing with adults, and maybe one other college. The vast majority are using us to facilitate registration in high schools for high schools only, in which case you don't have those seats filling up like that.
Okay.
Yes, you are correct. It would be their responsibility.
Is that 90% using in high school courses and online, or just in high school courses?
In high school courses for sure. Online courses, we have a couple of schools, like CWI does a lot of online courses, and so does Missouri Southern. But that's really that's a college's call. And more often than not, I see a lot of colleges that don't want to let high school kids do online classes, because let's be honest, online classes take a lot of self-direction, self-discipline, self-motivation. You know, you've got to. So we have found that many colleges feel like that's not a great fit for high schools, but we do have a few, that allow online courses.
Got it.
And what you'll also find with online courses, the seat limits tend to be much higher, traditionally. So like, you know, in a lecture, you know, kind of a thing, you might have 25 kids in the section. In an online course, you might have 45. It's a much larger.
Which they would fill out or fill up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Those are all really good questions. So, I mean, those were my like frequently, stumbled upon support tickets. And I think we're probably going to have another session where I show you guys how to use Zendesk. So Zendesk is where our tickets come in. I'll just kind of really quick flash it on the screen so you can see it. You have it's called like dualenroll.zendesk.com. It's how we manage all our help desk tickets.
I'm sorry, what?
You'll have a login.
Zendesk?
I'm sorry? Zendesk. Z as in zebra, right up here, Zendesk. It's the provider that we use to help organize and track our tickets. So you will actually have a logon for Zendesk. You have to go to that website. And when you log in, it shows you all of the tickets that are open. So these right now are open tickets. I can see who entered them. If I click on it, I can see what the problem is, right? So it says, Julie says, Tanya and I have been discussing the section a bit. It looks like the CRN is giving us some trouble, but it looks okay. So in other words, this is where a student would write you and say, I can't see any courses, or my account's not working correctly, right? So you'll see what the student wrote. We'll have the student's name, we'll have the student's email address, we'll have the college that they're working with, the information that they gave us. And this is what I use to start going to admin and looking at, okay, the student who contacted us was Pat Benatar, right? And so I'll type in her name. So it's not that they send you an email, it's that they enter a help desk ticket. And so you have to be able to log into the help desk and see those tickets. And then you can see things like which of my tickets are still unsolved. You can leave them as open or you can leave them as pending. Pending is when I need the parent or the student or the college to confirm something. Like when I say, college, can you please confirm that Pat Benatar did not take this class? She's saying that she didn't take this class. Can you confirm that? So I don't mark the ticket as closed. I mark the ticket as pending. I am waiting for that college to get back to me. So I think we'll have a follow-up session where we talk about how we use Zendesk. This shows me all the tickets that I recently solved, and when I solved them. And then what's the nice thing about this is if you get a ticket that you can't handle, you can actually send them to me. Like you can say, all right, I need help with this one, Cal, this one's weird. And then I can just take over and either like show you how to do it or resolve it myself. But this is where we see a lot of the requests for help coming in. And so, yeah, we'll take some time to get you guys a Zendesk account and then to walk you through, how to use Zendesk. How do you read a ticket? How do you mark them as, pending or solved? It's down here at the bottom, what the color coding means, how you tag people, or how you forward it on to somebody else, etc. So I think that's probably going to be the next step.
Will it just be one list that we both access, and grab the next ticket, or?
Yep. Yep. That's likely how it'll be. It'll just be a running list, and you grab the next ticket in the queue.
Got it.
Yep. And then I usually, like once a week, I'll go back through my pending tickets. Like if I'm still waiting for Wallace State to write me back and I wrote them on Monday, I'll write again. Like, hey, don't mean to bother you, just trying to follow up on this ticket, want to make sure we get it resolved for the student. Let me know if I can help. So I'll go back to my pending ones and just see like what the heck's going on with them, so that we can try to get them resolved.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And so far, we have spent time going through all of the frequently asked support issues for students. There are some support issues for instructors. So I think when we did our demo, I was talking about how there's like the registration platform, which is probably what we use a lot. The bulk of our colleges use registration, help my kids get in the classes. But there is the other side of that platform where colleges use us to approve and hire and vet the high school instructors. And so high school instructors have a login and I can't get to my account and I don't know how to reset my password. So there are some like kind of frequently support things that happen with instructors that are just a little bit different than students. And so I'm going to work on a list of kind of like the frequently asked instructor issues. The good news is that we see these things come in waves. Like when a college is starting to get new instructors to come on board, it's usually like in the summer or at the end of the semester, they're gearing up for the next semester. So they're starting to approve people for next year and next semester. In January, that's when we're opening up registration for all kids. So most of our tickets are going to have to do with registration, which is why we started with those. The instructor pieces will probably come towards the end of that semester when they're starting to look forward to the next term. Does that make sense?
Yep. And do the emails designate what type of person the email is coming from? Is there something that fills in?
So in here, the student will either give us a student name, or if it's not an instructor, they will leave this blank, but they'll put the instructor name here. Okay. So there's kind of two fields, and the person who's submitting the ticket has to pick one or the other. Are you a student or are you an instructor? Okay. The other thing that's always a backup is it will show you the email address of whoever sent it to us. So let's pretend they were typing really fast and they typed their name wrong. And so I'm looking for somebody named, Wingart, and it's with an A-R-T instead of an E-R-T. But I don't know that. I'm looking at the name that they typed in here, and I cannot find this person. My backup is to go to the ticket, and it shows you up at the top who wrote the ticket. I will copy that email address. I will go to my admin system, and I will go to users. And I can search by email address. Like, is that email address attached to a user? So if I click on that, I mean, this won't because it's dev, but it would pull up, oh, yeah, that belongs to this person. I'm like, oh, well, you wrote your name wrong. No wonder I couldn't find you, right? In which case, I can actually fix it. Like, I can alter the name that they entered, so anybody else who works on the ticket, like, later will actually have the correct name. But, yeah, there are a couple of ways. They will self-identify, or you can always try to grab the email address that they used.
Got it.
Yep. So I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you guys for giving me an extra half an hour with you. I will convert this recording, probably not today, probably tomorrow, and I will email you the link to last week's recording and this week's recording. And then I will also attach my little handy dandy note document about all of the things that I check when I'm trying to solve a problem. Okay. So you have that. I do believe, and we'll probably want to check with Janet, that not only did Janet want you guys to be able to help us with some of the support, but to maybe start to make like how-to guides. So if we had to bring on another person, let's say next year we get really busy and we have Kathy and we have Leanne and we bring on Fred, that we have like a how-to guide to give Fred as opposed to me doing training sessions. And obviously we'll still have these videos. But I believe that Janet had talked about maybe after things slow down or before they get really, really crazy in January, that one of the things is to take these training sessions and to make like a little how-to one-page document front and back about like exactly what I said. Like, if this is the question, did you check an account? Did you check to see if they're confirmed? And so I would take a screenshot like, okay, Benatar, right? So you go here, I put a little arrow right here that says, search by name. And then I would say, click here, and then I would say, look at this. So like a how-to guide, I think, was another thing that Janet was looking for some assistance with. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll double check with her to see kind of what her ETA is for that and if she wanted to divide it up. But I think the videos and then the little handout that I have here with kind of the how you go through it are probably going to be the best way to start mapping out how we would capture that.
And what do you see as the, when will you need us to start helping, or, when is the time frame that you start to get busy? I know you said January, but.
Oh, yeah, so we have a number of schools that register at different times. So I think our soonest school is opening registration on December 17th, so like next week. But they're opening registration on that day basically so the high school people can get in there and poke around, because the kids are going to leave for Christmas break. The kids are likely not going to start selecting courses until they get home, back from Christmas break. But technically, it will be open. It will be live. If you have an overachiever kid who wants to do it at home on Christmas Eve, they would be able to, right? The floodgates are going to open after January 1st. So I think our first school is trying to go live around like January 7 or 10. I can't remember the day. And then the next week we have another college that goes live or opens it up for that. Right now, Missouri Southern is already registering. They started really early. So I'm already handling support tickets for Missouri Southern for spring. They're already doing spring classes right now. So is Wallace State. So there's some stuff in there, but I have been handling it. And so it's kind of like once you add the next schools, it's going to get tougher. What you're going to see probably in the next 2 weeks is this is when we are training new high schools. So like I said, one school is going to let it open up on December 17th for their high schools to get in there. I bet you we're going to see some tickets from high school counselors saying, I don't know how to get here. I can't get into my account. I'm not seeing the student, and I thought I would see them. These are brand new counselors that have never used the system before. And so you'll kind of see, like, that's where it starts trickling in, is you'll get counselor questions. And I would anticipate that the student stuff is going to start flying middle of January. But it just keeps going. Like we have, like I said, January 7 or 10, January like 15. We have a February 1st launch date for another college. So they just kind of keep, they overlap. You know what I mean? Like it's not like one finishes and another one starts. Like at some point you're going to have 6 colleges open and 7,000 kids in the system. And in true high school fashion, all high school kids wait until the last possible minute to do anything. So if the deadline, you know, let's pretend CWI is hoping to launch in the middle of January. I think it's like January 15. And let's pretend their deadline to have kids get all of their stuff done is like March 1st. I guarantee you February 27, 26, those are going to be HE double hockey stick day, like just days of hell. Like it's just going to be support issue after support after, because these kids are waiting until the last possible minute to do something.
And how many colleges do you have live right now, or are you, this is where you're starting?
Yeah, so we have, I mean, we work with, oh God, what's our final count? Like 20-something colleges, 26 colleges, but not all of them are registering right now. So right now, the ones who have open registrations are Cascadia College. They are still wrapping up fall. They are one of those colleges who registers kids very, very late. They let the kids be in the class for a little bit before the kid decides if they want to take the class. So we have Cascadia who's wrapping up fall. Wallace State is doing spring already. Missouri Southern is doing spring already. Parkland will be doing spring in December. They're the one who's going to go live December 17, I believe. So those are the ones that are coming up. And then the rest of them are coming after that. You got CWI, you have Kenyon, you have La Roche. So there's like another 7 or 8 of them that will go live in January or February. And then, you know, we have some new implementations. So there are some brand new spanking colleges who have never done this with us. That usually means some hefty support tickets from everybody, from the high school, from the college, from the kids, because this is brand new. Nobody's ever done it. And so we have a bunch of new launches in March and April, and some of them are quite large schools. So in addition to doing some regular old registration with the veteran schools, you're going to add new schools into the mix who've never done it before.
And how long, when you guys get a new school that says, a new college that says, yep, we want to do this, how long does it take from start to finish in terms of getting them, doing the discovery and getting them up and running and all that stuff?
It's a really good question. So, and it's hard to give you a concrete answer. We've done enough of these to where we have quite a few steps, if you will, already figured out, like a parent permission step, a high school approval step, a residency form step. So if the college that we're working with has a workflow that has many of the steps that we've already figured out, you know, with minimal customization, like I don't want the email to say this, I want it to say this instead. Okay, right? Then it doesn't take us very long. I think we ask for like 6 to 8 weeks to do like 2 or 3 weeks for the discovery, 2 or 3 weeks for our developers to actually build it in the right order, like take all of the pieces and make it match their workflow, and then another week or 2 for us to test it, you know, before we go back to them and say, okay, look at it, did we get it right, right? And then we always build in a week for us to say, oh no, we didn't get it right, let's go back to the drawing board and fix these couple of things, right? But if the college deviates, you know, from what we traditionally do, if they come up with something that we've never heard of before, like you have to get a teacher's recommendation and a videotape of the kid doing a cartwheel, like, wow, we've never done that before, so you're gonna have to give us extra time to figure out how to build that. Like our developers have to build a step from scratch, and that takes longer. And so it really does depend on the college. And we say that to them when we're meeting with people who are interested in, like we're doing the sales kind of part, that on average, if you've got a very standard workflow that fits many of the things that we've seen before, it could take 6 to 8 weeks. But if you have a complicated workflow, if you have a workflow that has new kinds of steps that we've never seen before, we are going to require more time. And we kind of are able to map that out better after the discovery process. After the discovery process, we can look at how much are you deviating or doing things we've never seen before, and then we can say, all right, let me talk to my developers, I'll come back to you and I'll tell you how long it's going to take us to do this, and give you a more concrete timeline at that time.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, good question. So. All right, ladies, well, I will convert this recording and get you guys some information tomorrow, and I will triple check with Janet about some Zendesk training, and then about like the how-to stuff, how we want to tackle that as well.
Okay, sounds perfect.
All right, you guys have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for your time.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.